Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ndisco's Village Meeting Podcast. This is series 3, and today we are getting into episode 15. Welcome to April. This is the month of um, things coming to life. Okay. We spring into spring when trees and flowers start blooming, and I am of the opinion that individuals should also bloom. So let's get awake. Let's just stay alive and ginger into uh, this new month. Welcome, and welcome to, as Shakira, the singer, will say, Tamina mina waka waka Tamina mina shangariwa. This is Africa. Tamina muna waka Tamina muna shangariwa. Welcome to Africa. So this is Africa. Welcome. This is where we discuss the society and culture of Africa and beyond. We talk about things that happen to us, things that happen outside that we can bring in, and things that are really not for us that we should push a little bit further out. So today's topic is a fun one because when I talk to these young individuals, they, like I always mention, some of them are at crossroads, whether they are in diaspora, whether they are at the homestead. And this topic actually pertains to all young ones growing up. Some of them ask me, Auntie, um, how do we tackle this thing called life growing up? We are young, we don't know what tomorrow holds, and nobody does. Nobody really does. But one thing I tell them is from my experience, people ask me in this program sometimes, how do you come about this? um, what aspect makes you the authority? And I keep telling everybody, I don't know everything. I know a little to get by, but I create awareness because I go back in to find out what is, what was, and what could be. And that is how my day, and that brings excitement. I'm going to share with you that at this age, I am more excited about life than when I was younger, let me tell you. Why? Because there's so much more out there than any generation has ever had it. So many things to explore, so much out there. And the life world is changing. Remember, for example, when we used to have the cassette recorder and the then DVD player and all that little, the step by step MP3, sorry. Now we have we have variety of stuff. So when you have lived through some years of seeing things change, you don't rest on your oars. You just anticipate the next move, and that is what life is supposed to be. For living, you got to follow the flow. So when people ask me, what do you do? Who are you? And I've shared that a little bit. My life, growing up was trying, going to school and trying to see what fits me, what fits my own persona. And it's hard to find that when you don't know where you are going. And let me give that credit to the schools in Nigeria because I am from Nigeria, where despite the fact that we went through rote learning, we were more of theory than practice because there were no equipment or resources to show us what was in real life. We were able to be exposed to the world imagination. And so we saw things or heard about things before we even met them. And compare that to some people in other parts of the world who the only thing they know is their community. So for me, for example, seeing snow the first time already read and saw snow or somehow in the pictures than to relive it, especially in a blizzard. So everything in life teaches you. So my background is actually clinical research. I'm a clinical research professional, having delved into the processes of manufacturing, the medicines, drug, and the process of it, and the operations of it, medical devices, and vaccines, and you name them. And dabbled into, because I also have a training and leadership background. And so I am also into training others in this art of conducting research, and also leadership management of training for leaders, senior leaders, and all that. So when you look at it, everything that I have done brought me to this arena. I've also delved into academia. So if part of training medical students in the art of clinical research process, some people say, "Oh, you are a professor." No, I'm not, and I don't want to answer that because it's meant for those who have gotten to that level of academic, arena achievement and the steps that follow. But for some of us who just teach, there we are just all that. So combination of that, and some of them have asked how many degrees and all that. There are so many, and it's as diverse as possible. A friend of mine will always joke, don't ask her what she has done, ask her what she hasn't done. So that's my life. But bringing all this together, I never know more than anybody else. And I'm never going to claim that. But I know enough to, to raise my curiosity to know more. What else is out there? And as I grow older, I get more into that. Remember, there are certain times in our lives when you have other things of priority. So, for example, you are in schools, and then you are raising children, and then you are working a whole lot. Not that you've stopped working, but at the same time, some things are giving way that you have more time to settle on other things or to focus on other things. So that is people's lives. And for those of them that are no longer young, that are at the retirement age, people don't retire. They tire out a little bit, rest, and then they come back to something. Because, the only rest anybody has fully is when you're 6 feet under or when you cannot breathe anymore. So we owe it to ourselves and to our maker to be active out there and to go. So when the young ones asked me, Auntie, how do we tackle the future? When do we know when we are at our element, that when we get there, things change. Nowadays, you have heard that some people have changed jobs, like every 2 years. You young ones are doing that. And sometimes you have people who have changed careers many times. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just to make sure you know where you're going. So, one of the elements, one aspect of life that you must always have at the back of your mind, always pursue, and you see me or hear me most of the time say, think outside the box, be you, do you, is to be curious about life. So today's topic or today's discussion is on this aspect of life called curiosity. So my question to you, young ones, the youth of Africa, and actually the youth of the world, is this: are you curious enough? And we're going to explain what that means. Do you ever ask yourself the question, who am I? What am I? I talked about in the past episodes, elevator speech, giving, if you're given a minute or a second to introduce yourself. But it's hard sometimes. But unless you know who you are not going to be able to, actualize what is in your purview, so to speak. So today we're going to talk about how curious you could be or you are. And there are reasons why we must stay curious, not just at a young age, at every age. So I condensed those to 7 proven reasons. Again, what I do here is to collect information from everybody else out there to make it concise so that there are aspects that you can look into as my listener. So let's get into it. Again, your hostess is Dr. Marcellina and Ndidi M.OPARAOJI, bringing you to today's question. Okay. Um, what is curiosity? So the again, I always try to say where I brought my information from. The online dictionaries, I looked at a lot of them. And this particular one caught my attention because it put every other ones together. It says curiosity is an innate drive. Innate means in you. It's not given from outside. Some of them you can refine by using resources outside, but it has to be within your own gut to explore that interest, that excitement to learn and understand. Okay. So cognitive aspects of it is the knowledge. You got to be in quest for knowledge. Your emotional aspect is a can-do attitude. You are ready for it. You are acknowledging it and not a nay, 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 that's not going to happen aspect. And then the social catalyst aspect is, are there things around you that could help you get to where you are going? And these are all, geared towards development. What does it mean? It means that when we engage ourselves in our innate drive, our brain reward system gets activated. That means there is a push, this adrenaline push, dopaminergic pathway gets cleared, and the dopamine is flowing, and you then realize, oh, there are knowledge gaps. Okay, I don't know this. And we always hear when you don't know and you don't know that you don't know, that's a problem. Or when you know that you don't know, then you can learn. But when you know that you know, then you can share with other people. You play with that. Okay. There are uncertainties, things you think you know, but you're not very sure of. There are no clarity to that. So you come back and your brain rewards you by thinking about these things and acting on them, not just being a procrastinator. So according to literatures out there or schools of thought, there are three main types of curiosity. Again, we talk about perceptual curiosity. It's a new thing. It's something that you are thinking, you coming inside of you, and questions you are asking yourself. What if? What if? What if? And by asking the what if, you are bringing together new ideas that could work. It may not be something from nowhere. It could be that somebody else has started stuff and you are thinking, and that's the essence of when you see people who write dissertations, doctoral or masters, they are looking at what they may be doing literature study on some things other people have done, but to refine or clarify or add some to make more sense of it. And some of them could be brand new stuff as we have today. Remember when we used to have technology and today we're dealing with AI? Who knew? So those are the new things that are coming up. And when you listen to people like Elon Musk and others who are always thinking outside the box, you hear me say that they are like two steps away from their thinking. And we think, are they crazy? Because we're always resting on the known. What if we step into the unknown? Nobody has ever been. Think about that. And that's how you see these new things coming up. Somebody's thinking about those. Are you one of them? That's the question. The second type of curiosity is epistemic curiosity. In that case, you have no idea what is going on, but you're seeking knowledge. Some of us actually dive into news or anything or books or just to find out what else is new in the world. And I am, one of those I will share. And some people will think, oh, she's crazy. No, I am excited and I want somebody else to see what others are doing. The other day, I shared something about solar power. We know that solar relies on the sun, God-given sun, But we are finding also that there are some areas that where the sun doesn't shine that much, and maybe they have a limited window of sunshine. So another country is looking into now what else can we use to develop that solar power, and engage them attracting the power into those solar panels. So things are happening out there. Be curious. Ask what is out there. The third one is social curiosity. Again, it's not just what is around you. I have seen people who just want to know what is going on in their community. You cannot improve life just by knowing what. It's good to know what is in your community so that you can improve what is outside. But the idea of being the dog running around, catching your tail and the tail catching you all the time, hammering on things that are not working or things that you know are not changing, and talking about it ad nauseum, that's not the point. The point is, how are others tackling the same problem? And you look into the world. So that's type of social curiosity. Something is happening out there. Okay, how do all these people live? How do people live in Antarctica? Sorry, I'm having difficulty pronouncing that word. Antarctica. And we hear about Greenland and all that. How do those people live in snow and all that? And in your own village, there are people who in your community live in areas that you have never gone before. How do they you know live? So these are the things. And what all these things do for us is what? They drive our personal growth. They improve our learning efficiency. They make life better. So we are always going to um, try to be curious. Now, having said all this, let's come back to why we think we have to be curious. The young ones, especially. The ball is now in your court. A lot is happening around you. I tell you that whether you are generation alpha or now beta, you you are gifted with so much out there that the sky is your limit to really prove yourself or prove or bring a life. You are our tomorrow. So make use of what you have today and think about what could be available tomorrow as well. So there are 7 aspects, reasons why we should be curious. Okay. Um, the first one is brain development and learning. For us to be able to develop our brains as young people and engage in the world in what you have learned in the classroom. Remember, going to school does not make you perfect. It is what you do with what you've learned from school. So some people think, oh, I've gone to university, then I'm out, and it's okay, somebody has to give me something to live by. No, no, it's what you make of what you have learned to help yourself and the world. And that is why we ask you to think outside the box. What could you do with what you have? Okay. Um, how do develop that brain and learning? The first and most important thing is to ask lots of questions. Ask your questions. I don't care who will look at you and say, oh, you asked too many questions. Ignore them. They don't know what they are saying. And it's not that don't engage in stupid questions because you already know the answers and then you want to flog somebody with your knowledge. No. Ask questions to clarify what you don't know. Ask questions to understand what you've seen, what you observed that you're not clear on. And when I was growing up, my dad used to say to me, ask your questions. No question is bad. There are 3 answers to any question you ask. Either yes, no, or maybe. Okay? The war is on you if you never ask your question and you beat yourself going out and like, if I had known, if I had known. No, that's why some of us could ask anything anywhere and walk into any room to ask any question. Thanks, Dad. That was what you best would. But what also my dad is, hammered on was you have to be respectful asking your questions. Okay? Don't be mean about it. Explore the unknown. That's how you learn. That's how you develop your brain. Keep practicing those. Exploring the unknown means stepping into the, outside of your comfort zone. You already know A, B, C. How about D, E, F, and the rest of them? They may be not really your cup of tea, but you are going to go in there to know what makes it tick. What is it all about this? You may not eventually use it or decide to make it your passion or anything, but at least you have an idea. I keep saying to people, even when you manage others who have the expertise, it's important for you to know a little bit. Having managed a lot of people throughout my, corporate life and academic life, I will tell you that one of the things that will make you stand out is not really ignoring the fact that that this person knows XYZ. They can come to you for questions about money or everything, but you have no idea what they're talking about. So you can also learn a little bit about that. Another way of developing your brain, we still at number one, brain development and learning as a reason why we need to be curious. It's also mastering new skills. Okay? You come across things every day that you have no idea of. You don't know why they are happening. Curiosity is the only thing that will make you open your eyes and go. Have you ever seen something or heard about something that you have no idea, and then somebody explains it to you, or you get to understand it better by reading from somebody or listening to somebody, and the bulbs go off, and you're like, wow, is that what it is? So this is one. Number two, a reason for us to be curious is, to enhance happiness. Our happiness, again, is individualized and well-being. And in order to make others happy, you got to be happy. So unless you develop it in yourself, there's no way you can, impact it on somebody else. So we are saying to you, be curious so as to enhance your happiness and also your well-being. And how do you do that? You get to exercise that high level of positive emotion, that high level of I can. Yes, I can do that. You know, did you say we have to do this? I have no idea how to do it, but hey, let's give it a try. One of the things that my a former boss told me get when I was getting into the job world earlier is never to say no to any challenge put in front of me. And that has been the best lesson in life. She said, if you don't know how to do it, ask for training for that. Ask for someone to show you how. You're going to make mistakes, but when you really put your mind to it, that I'm going to at least know the who, what, why, how of this particular new thing, I'm going to work on it and get to the next level. And that's why some of us, everything we've done in life or learned are put together eventually in the areas that we have focused on. Okay. Um, when you enhance your happiness and well-being by way of curiosity, you lower your anxiety. You're never anxious. Nothing is actually surprising when shoved your way. You're like, okay, been there, done that. Oh, we'll find a way around it. Okay. Um, when you get all this going, you find another level of greater life satisfaction in what you do, and people will think you 1 million naira or $1 million every time. No, it's just that you are conscious that this is going to be difficult or this is going to be easy, and you go about it than pushing back in the negative realm of life. Number three is social connection. When you are curious, you become socially connected. Okay. You become empathetic in, you have empathy in relationships, and where you practice active listening, because when you are in a get together or a situation where you want to get to know somebody else or know other people or get that situation, even if they are strangers you met on a train or on a bus, that makes you listen to them. So you develop your active listening skills from doing that, why they also hopefully will listen to you. And that social connection is just born out of curiosity to know the other person. There are people who never talk to somebody they don't know. I don't know how they live life, but you got to talk to people to get to know them and to hear about stuff. Number four, we have to be curious uh, for the sake of resilience and problem solving. So, unless we are curious, we cannot transform our mistakes that we encounter every day. We're humans after all. Transform them into learning opportunities. We are taught in corporate never to say I can't or it's difficult. The word difficult does not occur or shouldn't be, used in any setting like that. But an opportunity to learn, opportunity to understand, opportunity to know, to explore. So when you are resilient, when you are in that frame of mind, you can solve problems even as hard as they come. Um, you can handle life's difficult situations because your curiosity is making you now say, yes, I can. Oh no, you see people say, oh no, it's never been done. We can't do it. It's not possible. The negative aspect, push them behind you. Tell them, no, no, we're gonna try this. We fail. And this is why we always call for planning. What are your steps? So that you can retrace this step if it fails to go to see where you failed and what other aspects. So when you have, a problem or, an idea, you start with what is this idea? What are the many solutions can we, apply to this and all the way to the end, so that any step you miss, you go back to the beginning to retrace. So in this way, you are building also your individual resilience. When even people around you say, "Oh, it cannot be done," what are you doing? You get into a venture. What are you doing? No, don't do that. You are not able to do it. Believe me, that fear can make you lose grip. Some people ask me, how did you get into podcast? Well, I, many people, I haven't seen anybody around me who really does that. But when I wrote a book, Raising an African Child, in um, the idea was to have people have an idea of how our children who are immigrants are being raised, in cultures that are many of them and conflicts that they, encounter. Little did I know that this also, when I wrote the book, people from, Homestead in Africa were buying the books. And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, what is happening here is happening back home. For example, the language barriers. Some people in the township cannot speak even the local language. And they thought it was in diaspora. And the behaviors there too and all that. So when I started doing this and schools were interested in using the book in African studies and all that, I did this by observing the young ones when they talk to each other amongst each other. And I'm like, okay, they are having some issues here. And I stopped to, engage in seminars and all that to talk about this. But then the young ones started calling. They thought they had an ear or ears to listen, and I made time available for them. But then I found myself repeating what I said to one person to the other. So the idea of the podcast, I was seeing what other people far, far away from me were doing with the idea of podcast when it can reach. So I decided to put a style to mine because I keep telling people this is not a blog, it's not a vlog. It is a podcast where a lot of preparation goes into putting even one episode together. You got to do your homework, you got to do a lot of research. because before they will allow to publish it, they've looked through also to make sure that what you are doing is not plagiarized, or there are no a lot of untruth there. You are not going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes, but remember, with podcasts, you can be sued for giving wrong information, or getting somebody's information out there. So it's a lot of work putting the contents together, not to talk about the IT part, the technology part, the recording, the preparation for that, and editing and all that before you can really send it to all these outlets that will publish them. So that's what this is all about. And that's at the beginning I almost gave up because I started with audio, just people listening. And I would give my son, Dr. Emeka Paraji, the salute or thank you for pushing me to now put it on YouTube, about a few months now, about a year. He said, Mom, put that in YouTube, put this in YouTube. He found it to be good stuff. So thanks, Edward. So, this is what it is. And now to understand that people are beginning to get interested in listening to that, and you see people like Michelle Obama leaving the White House and didn't engage in any other thing, but to start a podcast with the brother, so that people who want to hear her side of the story, or hear her voice, or her expertise in whatever area she does. Trevor Noah, who had even an evening show, is now a podcaster. No? So I find myself really lucky, and um, I tapped myself on the shoulder and said, wow, you're doing great doing this. So part of my drive is, and the resilience in me is not to give up. I almost gave up at the beginning because there was so much to do with all other things on my plate. But now I want to get into it more and more, because a lot of people are sending me questions and ideas of what to talk about and all that. So I appreciate that. So that's an example of resilience and problem solving. I will tell you that sometimes I have finished taping a session and it just disappears. And I have to start all over again. And some topics don't lend themselves freely to being discussed. And so you got to find a way to work with that. And then when you have to have people interviewed, that's a different ball game altogether. So it's all good. I'm having a ball. That is the most important thing. And learning a lot from my young ones as they also tell me they are learning. So we talked about number four, resilience and problem solving, and all that is to it. Everything we do, no matter how difficult, we don't lose the word difficult. We call it learning opportunities. Any mistakes we make, we learn from. Number five is discovering our purpose in life and our passion. We have to be curious in order to be able to do this. Okay. How do you discover what your purpose in life is on passion? You don't just sit and then somebody brings it the idea to you. No. What you do is to work within yourself, ask yourself a series of questions. Okay. What are your purpose in what is your purpose in life, or what your purpose is in life, if there are many of them? What is your passion? What do you look forward to? Because sometimes, somebody said, you're busier than ever. I said, yeah, you are awake at, a certain time at night when everybody else is sleeping. Yeah, because I always have a paper and pen near my bed, or even the electronic version, because things just pop into my head in the shower. You just want to write. I tell people when they lie, they think I'm crazy, but this is the most exciting time in life. For some of us, it's like um, things are happening around you, curious. And you got to be curious to learn about that. And it's never going to be one topic. It's going to be generalized, it's going to be everything under the sun. You may not be an expert in every one of them or have a good grip in all of them, but you have an idea, a conversational idea at least. Okay. When you are, discovering your purpose and also your passion, You are experiencing things with new ideas, things you've never done before. You're going to see, okay, let's try this. Even dishes. Have you ever asked yourself, if I wasn't what I am now, what else could I be? Okay. So I asked myself that question also. What else could I have been apart from having given decades to pharmaceutical industrial life? What else could I have been? But, this is how you discover other things that you could be good at. Okay. And this goes for, we're going to talk about this topic next time. Those who are elderly that are saying that they are retiring or they are retired. You're not tired. You may be tired, but rest. Retirement doesn't mean that you are no longer useful. There are so many things you can engage in, maybe not as rigorously as you used to do. And with all these that we're talking about, everything is not money. Those of you who have managed employees, you know that most of the time what keeps them is not the salary. It's how you allow them to exercise their ideas, to exercise their knowledge, to share with you. And when they come to you to say, we want to do it this way, or that way, I'm one of those who will say, okay, let's try it. But I have questions for you. What if, what if, what if? And this is why you develop people. And instead of telling them exactly what to do, you cross this T here, dot this I here, and make it the blue and the yellow, shade of this or that. You are cramping people's ability to discover their purposes and their passion. Also, this is where you explore new careers. Again, at a certain time, you've seen people go from one career to the other. The other day, I was listening to one of my proteges, and she is like, Auntie, she was, in the pharmacy arena. She now want to go into nursing to become a nurse anesthesiologist or something to that effect. Okay, you know what I'm trying to say. Okay, they are the ones who will, put you to sleep when, or help the doctor put you to sleep, or the physician put you to sleep. So they, that I said, wow, that is good. And the other one, it's now leaving whatever she is doing and she's heading to medical school. It's all about what is in it for me, why from, what is in it for me, what makes me tick, what makes me happy. And life is just about what you do to keep you going from day one to day two. We are the privileged ones who are given the health, good health, and the ability to breathe, to wake up every morning. And the worst thing you can do to whoever gave you that gift from anywhere, because I am one of those, I believe that somebody out there is looking out for us, somebody out there is providing for us. We may not be worthy of their love or what they are doing for us, but because they are good at what they are doing. So we cherish. That is why I call for us to be smiling, to be laughing. Yeah, there are people who, or things, noises around you. Ignore them and move forward. So this is one of those. If you find your passion, you ignore all noises around you and you focus. So the young ones, for you not to engage in drugs, alcoholism, and all these nonsense going out there, if you focus on the passion, if you focus on a way forward, what you think could make you want to wake up in the morning and go, that is where life gets sweeter. Number 6, okay? When you are curious, you become a better employee, you become a better student. Your performances will show because you are focused, you are looking at it. So you are keeping your mind active. How do we do this? There are so many possible solutions to this, but let's pick this and do that. Okay. And what does it do for you? It prevents boring. Let me tell you, one thing I know is that I can never be bored. There is always something to do. I shared with those who want to hear that I sometimes engage in learning languages. It's not because I'm going to be fluent in speaking them. No. If I can get a word or two, And so that I could be on a train or on a plane or in a bus, and somebody says something and uses one of those words. I could understand what they're saying or what they're coming from, maybe partially. But it's good to learn. It's good to keep learning. Never stop learning. It prevents, you from getting bored, this curiosity of life. And, it also gets you your routine, a routine that is not just set in one place. Can you just imagine, the old, our forefathers who used to do factory work is like the same old, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and then at the end of 50 years, they are giving golden rule. There was no passion. It's like a rote thing that you're going to do this, you're going to do. But what if you are given a position or something that you have to bring your own idea into? You are busy thinking about what could be, what if this, or that, that you're never bored, that, that is your routine changes from day to day. There's so much to do. Last but not the least, when you're curious, you are really helping your personal growth and adaptability. You can adapt easily. Okay. It opens, to new experiences. You don't know what part of the world you can find yourself. You thrive. You engage, the rest of the world in where they are, and meet them halfway. And you could know that so many people have that drive in them, you know. The fostering of adaptability means that you can eat things you have never eaten before, taste dishes you've never tasted before, go places, try new things that you have never done before. And adaptability means you can find yourself in the tundra regions, like, where it's minus some degree of cold, but you're coming from a warm area. You find a way to adapt. You used to live in a mansion, all of a sudden, things go south. You're living in a small hut, one room. You can adapt. So if you have yourself curious as to, let us see what goes with this. It mightn't be bad after all. Instead of sitting, oh, well, baby, I used to be this and no longer that. And no, there is no room for that. And what does, what do all these bring into focus? Innovation. We keep telling everybody, if we are not innovative, all the learning we do or the learning we have achieved, it's nothing, or they are nothing. So when you engage in curiosity, when you have an open mind to whatever is thrown in front of you, when you cannot keep saying, nah, that won't happen, it won't work, let's do it the way we used to do it. You are now still living in the dark ages. The idea today is to be curious, to move forward ideas, so that tomorrow those who are coming after you will pick up from there. It's like a relay race, baton changing hand. So this is where we're going to stop today. Remember, curiosity is the word. And why are we going to be curious? Because our brain development and learning will continue. Uh, our happiness will be enhanced. Our well-being will shine. Our social connection will blossom. Our resilience and problem-solving skills will come to the surface, and we can withstand any challenges out there and still make something out of nothing. We will discover our purposes and also our passion. And with those, we can move mountains. Number 6 is talking about we now, with curiosity, can really do better work as employees or be better students in schools and bring forth whatever we have. And last but not the least, when we are curious, we develop our personal growth. We are adaptable everywhere with anything and with anyone. I used to, when I was like in the leadership aspect, this personality training that goes with colors. So the idea is that we have in all individual round, we have a yellow, somebody with who exhibits yellow attitude, blue, green, and red. And I'm not going to go into details. None of them is bad. But if you get to understand them, you could deal with them and work with them. When the yellow is the sunshine, always jumping. The blue is the one that is keeping things in order and reminding everybody of what their duties are. And the red is that leader who either appointed themselves or you appointed them that will tell you this is where we're going. They are the visionary ones. And the green is the peacemaker. Who is having everybody, if you're having conflicts, they are the ones with the cool head that will bring everybody back together. But the main reason why I was trying to share this is that unless you know your own color, and be able to know the colors of everybody around you, there's no way you can function well in a group. And your future is as bleak as that. So, young ones, old ones, young ones of Africa, youths of Africa, are you curious enough? Are you beginning to develop that curiosity in you? That's the question you take out or you take away with you. And I thank you all. Please subscribe. We got to 1,000 downloads. I am tickled pink, like I said. It means people are acknowledging what I'm doing, and I can't thank God enough for that. So please subscribe on YouTube, iHeartRadio, and everywhere else. Please. And share that with all people who are not there yet. The followers are growing. Please continue to come in. And on that note, I'm saying thank you for listening. This is again your hostess, Dr. Marcellina Ndidi, saying thank you and have a good day. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are.